Have anything to do with the death of Taylor Wright. There will be no eyewitness testimony introducing the evidence showing you that Ashley MacArthur had anything to do with the death of Taylor Wright. There will be no murder weapon introduced into evidence that has any connection to Ashley MacArthur.
The first witness called by the prosecution was Taylor Wright's ex-husband, Jeff Wright, who had briefly been considered a possible suspect.
Were you and Taylor legally divorced?
Yes.
Essentially had to clear him. And I think if the jury didn't hear from him, it would be probably a weakness for the state's case.
Ms. Wright, did you reach out to Ashley MacArthur on Facebook?
Sorry.
And did you ask her if she maybe knew where Taylor was?
I did.
And what responses did she give you?
She said that she had last seen Taylor with 2 backpacks, a significant amount of money, that Taylor was nervous about the upcoming trial.
The defense used Wright's testimony as an opportunity to raise a question of whether he had a motive to harm Taylor Wright.
She had antagonized a lot of people, and especially over the divorce and the money issues with her husband.
Fair to say that Taylor Wright was making it very, very difficult to get this money back.
That is correct.
But MacArthur's lawyers knew that police had established Jeff Wright's whereabouts hundreds of miles away in North Carolina, and they knew better than to outright accuse Jeff Wright of the murder.
Yeah, we can't lose credibility with the jury. We can't make it so incredible that they don't believe us.
On the second day of the trial, the prosecution called Taylor Wright's girlfriend, Cassandra Wall. She was nervous about making eye contact with Ashley.
Now, do you see Ashley MacArthur in the courtroom today?
I do.
Can you please point to her and identify what she's wearing?
She's right here. She's wearing a black outfit.
You know, look at Ashley. Ashley never looked at me. Ashley was always looking down at her school bag.
Let the record reflect this witness has identified the defendant. During the course of your relationship with Taylor Wright, did you ever have an opportunity to see her handwriting?
Yes.
Did she write you letters?
Yes.
Did she give you cards?
Yes.
We're going to play the best golf of our life today.
Her signature?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm showing you state exhibit number 26. Does that look like Taylor Wright's handwriting?
That is not Taylor's handwriting.
Or her signature?
Or her signature.
But on cross-examination, Cassandra Waller testified she never saw any evidence.
That was a good shot, wasn't it, Amore? Win in science. Math and science, Amore. Math and science.
Saw Ashley MacArthur and Taylor Wright together. You never heard, saw anything to indicate to you that Ashley MacArthur was threatening to harm Taylor Wright, causing her
Playing some good golf, baby.
physical harm, anything like that.
Come on, where y'all
No
put me at?
indication that Taylor Wright was scared of her or anything like that.
-1.
The defense then raised questions about Cassandra's own, at times,
What golf
challenged
you got when
relationship
you
with
make that
Taylor,
joint a hole in
one?
citing the text she had sent to Taylor
Club
the
you got,
first day
homie.
she was missing.
As those text messages show, you called her a liar. You called her a drug user. What I was trying to point out is that Taylor had a somewhat volatile life. Going back to late July 2017, you indicated to us that
Come on, swag.
you received information that Taylor was having some sort of relationship with another woman over in Mississippi, correct?
Yes.
She had this secret girlfriend in Mississippi.
That's nowhere near what
She was known to use drugs. Just because you don't hear from her on September 8th or 9th doesn't mean she was murdered at that point. That was the point I was trying to make with Cassandra.
It's got to be clear as day that I have nothing to do with this. And the fact that they still played that I could have possibly been somebody for the jury, that could have ruined my reputation, my professional career.
Are you serious?
They'll throw anything and everything out there. That's not okay.
Testimony would show that Ashley came from a solid middle-class family. She could often be found in strip clubs and sketchy bars, where her girlfriends and a bartender testified she talked the night before Taylor disappeared about killing her with an overdose of cocaine she had just
-2.
Did
Yes.
Ashley tell you, either before, during, or after you went to Vegas, what she was going to do with the cocaine?
She said that she was going to put it in Taylor's beard.
What did you hear Ashley say? that this world would be better if Taylor wasn't here and that she wasn't a good person. One time she said that she's too small to hurt anybody, she'd just shoot.
And then this, the night Taylor went missing.
Did you ask Ashley what she did with
Oh, come on.
Then she put in her beer and Taylor spit it out because she said it tasted sour.
Wow, she's the cocaine in her bed.
The prosecution's case depended heavily on Ashley's motive, that she could not give back Taylor Wright's money because she had already spent it on a man with whom she was having an extramarital affair, a bar owner named Brandon Beatty.
At some point, did you and Miss MacArthur start a sexual relationship?
Yes.
So I was able to trace $30,000 in cash that Ashley had used by her boyfriend to vote.
Was she paying the gold power bill at Styx?
She did a couple times.
Was she buying supplies at Sam's Club for your business?
Yes, ma'am, she did.
In approximately August of 2017, did she buy you a motorcycle?
So I'm not sure that
Yes,
she did purchase
dog.
also.
Okay.
A purchase made a few weeks before Taylor Wright went missing.
How much and how often was Ashley MacArthur spending money on you?
So,
I'm sorry?
I don't know how to answer that. To be honest with you,
Okay.
pretty regular.
And what did she say about her friend being missing?
The police had took her phone. She told me that the girl had ran off with her husband's money or something, and just gone.
And what else did she say about finding her?
She told me they'll never find that bitch. She's gone.
But the defense would have its own cards to play, including a video of Ashley MacArthur that would give her lawyers a surprise opening to undercut the prosecution case.
This one looks to be heading down the runway.
Hurricane Dorian, now a Category 2 storm, strengthening this morning, threatening to hit Florida as a major Category 4 hurricane.
In the middle of the Ashley MacArthur murder trial, Pensacola came under a hurricane watch. And in the courthouse, Judge James Shackelford urged the lawyers to speed things up.
So what I read in the most recent update was alarming.
Showing Dorian on the move, you see it right there, making its way through the Atlantic. As you can see, this storm is just getting bigger and bigger.
But prosecutor Bridget Jensen was intent on playing the full 6 hours with 2 police interrogations of Ashley MacArthur.
I think that was important because the jury gets to see Ashley MacArthur.
I would think so. Like, I don't believe Taylor's innocent. I think Taylor's doing what Taylor does.
If you looked at the first interview, Ashley was almost kind of flirty, maybe a little playful with law enforcement.
Has she ever come on to you? Taylor asked me one time if I would have a threesome with her and some guy. And I'm like,
No, you on drugs.
She knew at that point, she was probably caught.
so you're the only one that was with her on this day at this moment that you did not disclose this? I don't do anything. You do.
That farm, we're going to find her. We're going to execute the search warrant out there right now.
That's fine, but she's not going to be there.
So it was good, I think, for the jury to see that she had lied and she got caught up in her lies and couldn't come up with excuses fast enough.
Where is she at?
I don't know where she is.
Where's her body at?
I don't know where she is.
This is a perfect example when you talk to law enforcement too much. Whether you're guilty or innocent, it's going to come back and hurt you.
And the father and son team of defense lawyers could do little to challenge much of the other prosecution's evidence, too. The gruesome photos of Taylor Wright's body, wrapped in a hammock in a shallow grave, a bullet hole in the back of her head, the testimony about the cell phone tower that put Ashley MacArthur at the crime scene.
You have in the cell phone records the maps that were put into evidence. Cell tower near the Britt Road Farm at 12:10 p.m.
The forged signature on Taylor's cashier's check deposited in Ashley MacArthur's bank account.
Taylor is missing, and she is still depositing Taylor's money.
And the suspicious text messages from Taylor's phone after she was likely dead.
Come on, come
But
on.
then a video that the prosecution hoped would help clinch the case gave the defense a surprise opening. Surveillance video from a Home Depot of Ashley MacArthur buying concrete and potting soil the day after Taylor went missing. A store clerk, Devontae,
Make it over there, make it over there, make it over, make it over, make it over, make it over. On the green.
Type of concrete.
Yeah.
What type of concrete?
She just said she was, sorry, like a fast-setting concrete.
I'm sorry.
A fast-setting concrete.
But then, looking at the crime scene photos, Sims testified the textured rocky concrete on Taylor Wright's body appeared to be different than what Ashley MacArthur bought.
Concrete that this lady purchased is it textured?
No, ma'am. It's like fine dust. No, ma'am.
What's it say?
No, ma'am.
The defense was jubilant.
I leaned back and made a comment to my dad, and he kind of was just boom, like I was happy, you know, and I'm sure you can get the photographs. He said the concrete that Miss MacArthur bought was very fine like dust. The concrete on top of Taylor Wright's body was very pebbly, right? You could see rocks in it. It was not fine like dust.
And then, the defense set out to prove in its case that Ashley MacArthur would not have been able to lift a 50-pound bag of concrete or even Taylor Wright's body because of a back injury she suffered 8 years earlier. Her mother, Rhonda Britton.
You see her ever lift any heavy objects?
No, she tried not to because it hurt her back.
Have you ever seen her lift anything like a 50-pound concrete bag or anything that heavy?
No.
And is that to this day?
Yes.
I think it definitely was hard to picture how this little girl could move a dead body. But at the same time, Taylor was not a big girl either. I think where there's a will, there's a way.
In the end, the defense case rested mostly on the fact there was only circumstantial evidence, no fingerprints, no DNA tying Ashley MacArthur to the crime scene.
When you were here, you were the lead investigator for the Escambia County Sheriff's Department on this investigation, is that correct?
Yes.
As far as physical evidence or forensic evidence, you never found any physical or forensic or trace evidence that linked Ashley MacArthur to the homicide?
I did not know, sir. It is the state's job to give you everything. The good, the bad, the ugly. And you heard some very unflattering information about Taylor Wright. And you may not like some of what you heard about Taylor Wright. But in this trial, she is the victim. So let's not forget that she was the 33-year-old mother of a child. And she was a human being. And our laws in the great state of Florida do not classify human beings. So her life means no less than anyone else's. And this woman sat there hour after hour in those interviews you saw her, calm, cool, collected. Not 1 ounce of sadness or concern or worry for her friend that was missing. She was so forthcoming about all the bad things that Taylor did. But you know what she wasn't forthcoming about? Those deposits of Taylor's money that she made and that property on Britt Road. And why? Because as she sat there giggling and laughing and joking with law enforcement on September 18th, she knew that Taylor was out there on Britt Road. Because that's where she murdered her, and that's where she tried to cover up her body. Ladies and gentlemen, Ashley MacArthur had the motive. Ashley MacArthur had the opportunity. Ashley MacArthur murdered Taylor Wright